as of last night, we received a 911 call from a female, Donna Smith, 49-year-old female. She advised that she had just shot her boyfriend, Jeffrey Simmons, 57 years old. Donna initially told the 911 operators they were asking questions. The questions were along the lines of what happened, and she responded that she had been choked, that she had been chased, and she gave some initial statements to the 911 operators. When our deputies got on scene, they had her put her gun down, and they at that point took her into custody. And they went in, checked on the male, and he was deceased. Mr. Simmons was deceased inside of the office space. So for orientation purposes, this is a elderly community. It's a condominium association attached to the Vista Royale golf course. There's condos all throughout there. There's a restaurant, and there's some office space. These two people, Mr. Simmons and Miss Smith, lived together inside of the complex there. They also had an office area where they worked out of, which was right next to the restaurant. So based on our investigation so far, what we know is that last night, some sort of verbal disturbance happened at the residence. At some point, Mr. Simmons left the residence. We're still working to determine exactly where it was that he went from there, but he left the residence, and shortly thereafter, Miss Smith left the residence and went to the office. Based on the scene that we're seeing where the homicide occurred, it appears as though Miss Smith was waiting for Mr. Simmons to arrive at the office space. There's been speculation. There's been some witnesses that says he went into the bar. We're still working through all of those details. But when he arrives at the restaurant or at the office space, Miss Smith stands up. He's walking in the door. She fires two shots, one which strikes him and kills him almost instantly. He hits the ground, and at that point, she gets on the phone with our dispatchers. She did not wish to talk to us without an attorney, and I can tell you, based on her initial statements over the 911 call and the scene that we see, her statements are not consistent with the scene that we see. It appears as though there was no struggle at the apartment. There was no signs of anything. We did a search warrant on the apartment that they live in. There at the office, there was no signs of a struggle. There was no nothing. Her initial statements that he was chasing her, in fact, have been proven the opposite, that she actually went after him after he left the apartment. And based on what we're seeing in place there, it appears as though she was literally lying in wait for him to arrive, at which point she shot and killed him. I'll take any questions that you guys may have at this point.
Do you know if they both work together inside of the country club restaurant as well as in the real estate office?
So it's a real estate office. One of them, it's a office space, right, for that area. One of them was a manager of the condo, for lack of better terms. The other was a real estate person, the female, who was using some of that office space to run her real estate business. So they work together, they live together. All signs, everybody that we've talked to, is that it has been a tumultuous relationship. Nobody really knows exactly when they moved in together, but definitely signs that this has been something that's been building up for a while.
You mentioned that it is a quiet, 55 plus community. For you to respond to shooting in an area like that, is that uncommon for you to see?
Very uncommon, very unusual, very quiet neighborhood. The worst things that we have happen in that neighborhood are usually bicycle thefts. It's really a very nice area. The golf course, a lot of people frequent that. It's a small golf course, that restaurant, a lot of people frequent that area. And so this is definitely out of sorts, and certainly something that we're happy to have her in custody. She was charged with second-degree murder. We are going to proceed with that. We did corroborate with the state. We worked with them on determining what charges would be appropriate. But really, with her not speaking with us, very limited information, and we're going based on the forensic evidence that we see on scene, her initial statements, and the fact that those things just do not coincide with each other.
Sheriff, and just to confirm the name of the condo that they were living in, the community, can you confirm that for us one more time, please, as well as the age of the woman?
Yeah, it's Vista Royale is the name of the community. The woman, Donna Smith, is 49 years old, and Mr. Simmons was 57 years old at the time of his death.
And you have never encountered this couple before as sheriff? You never had calls of service to their area, to this community before because of them?
So I can tell you that at that particular residence, we do not have any calls for service. One second. At that particular residence, we do not have any calls for service associated with them. We are looking into the fact that she had previously been involved in a disturbance at another local restaurant. There's some indications that she may have been involved in another altercation, but we don't have all the details of that yet.
Can you spell the victim's name?
Sure. Jeffrey, Jeffrey Simmons, Simmons, 57.
And they both lived in a unit at Vista Royale?
They did. They lived in a condo nearby. They were living there and they were working. The office space was not too far. As a matter of fact, he actually drove a golf cart from the residence to the office. She got in her vehicle and followed him there. So when our deputies arrived, both his golf cart and her vehicle were parked right there in front between the restaurant and the office space.
Sheriff, any idea how long, oh, sorry, just really quick question. Sorry, Kate. Any idea how long Mr. Simmons had been working as a manager here for, as well as for Donna as well?
I don't have the information on how long they had been working there together. We did discuss, people had said that they had been together for several years, but they had moved in recently. It wasn't something that had happened. They hadn't been living together for a long period of time. So they moved in together recently.
Obviously, the country club and a restaurant are very close together, or very close to the real estate office. And I mean, I think you said the call came in just before 7, which I would imagine is kind of prime dinner hour. Were a lot of people in that area at the time of the shooting? Do you know?
It was on President's Day. And we do know that there were people inside the bar. There were witnesses, again, that said that they saw him. I don't know exactly how busy the restaurant was. It is a very busy restaurant over there. This isn't a private community. It's not the golf club is open to the public. It's not a gated thing or anything like that. It's along US 1. It really is more of a 55 and up community that just happens to have a small par 3 golf course attached to it. But the entire place is, less than a couple square miles. The entire roadways, if you measure them out, wouldn't be a couple miles. So it's a small area.
Do you know if Smith bonded out?
She is currently still being held in our jail. She was processed at 5 o'clock this morning. She will face the first appearance hearing tomorrow.
And so you said, Donna, she worked for a real estate company?
I believe she had her own real estate operating inside of there. She was doing her own real estate business out of that office. I'm not sure if she worked with a company or not, but she was selling real estate. That was her trade.
Okay, so Vista Royale wouldn't be like her employer, like she wasn't working
for her. I believe that Mr. Simmons was working for Vista Royale. She was not.
Okay.
She was just using office space that was there on the property for her real estate business.
Okay, and Simmons was a manager for Vista Royale?
Correct. He was like a property manager of sorts for that area. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Dylan, do you have anything for me? No?
Sheriff,
All right.
Sorry.
Well, thank you guys. Yep. Go right ahead.
Any surveillance video, Sheriff, that you guys will have available by any chance in time for our newscast today?
Right now, we're still working through all the surveillance video. It's not going to be anything that'll be ready for your broadcast today. If we get something for you, it would definitely be a couple days out.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Dylan, anything? I saw you on mute.
All good for me. You answered everything.
Thank you guys. I appreciate your time covering this. Unfortunately, the big story here for me, we continue to battle domestic violence. I have a deputy that is now full-time dedicated to domestic violence. We're one of the few agencies in the state that actually has people who are just working on these domestic violence cases. And this is the exact type of thing that we're trying to prevent. Unfortunately, in this case, it's not one where we have a long history of domestic violence with these folks. And so, that's something that our team is actively looking for. We're looking for people who are actively engaged in these domestic violence relationships and doing our best to prevent something from like this from happening. But as we all know, domestic violence is one of the most underreported crimes out there. And so this is one of those issues where who knows what was going on prior to this, who knows what the circumstances are. And unfortunately, without Ms. Smith talking to us, we don't have those details right now. There's no previous history of it. We only have what we have at the scene. So we're hoping that, other people will come forward. If you know anything about this couple, if you have information about them, we're still looking for that information. And if you were out there last night and you saw anything, we're looking to talk to you as a witness.